Kua whitireia mai te pūtahi manoa I o matua te kore. Kua puta ko te a, ko te pō, ko te pū, ko te weu, ko te more, ko te aka. E takoto ana ngā tua nei.
Kia ora, my name is Toa Waaka. I am the Vice Chairperson of the Society for Māori Astronomy Research and Traditions Trust. And I'm here today at the Kara Observatory to share a little bit of storytelling, if you please, on the creation story of Māori, cosmology of Māori, and also its relevance to its Western traditions of the Big Bang Theory. The beauty about Te Matawa Maui, the fishhook of Maui in Rehua, is that it sits facing back to the centre of the galaxy. So that's one of the greatest gems of being in New Zealand, is we get to view the centre of our galaxy, the Milky Way, Te Mangoroa. All of the stuff that we're talking about now is deciphering what our ancestors were talking about. So our ancestors said, they didn't say, oh well, you know, the molecular fusion of hydrogen and helium did this. But what they said is, ko te waiora o tātou tupuna ka hoki mai ki ngā rangi tū ha, ki te tiki tiki o rangi, ki Hawaii. Ha-wai-i-ki. Ha, to breathe, or the breath, wai, of the water. I, from where? In ancient times, ki, to return or gone to. So, for the wairua to return back to Hawaii nui, Hawaii roa, Hawaii pamamau, Hawaii rangi. Hawaii rangi. So, our ancestors understood that the wairua, the waters of the body, would evaporate and go back up into form part of the system of waiora of Papatuanuku. Matariki is connected to basically just an archaeoastronomical marker that we would usually have an altar and a whare. If we looked outside of the whare nui of our ancestors, our old whare, they would usually have a marker where Matariki would rise out of. And when Matariki would rise out of above that stone altar, that would mark for us, that is the time of the year that has arrived, where we've reached the end of the old year, and we place, kumara on that altar, and we offer it up for our dead who have passed on in that time, so that we know now we're heading back towards Raumati, or Te ao nui, to the longest day. So it's the measurement of where the shortest day has sort of happened, and the new months can now, the next month for each year can start again for the new year. First we look at our ancestors, and we acknowledge our ancestors when they travel back to Matariki, for instance. So our observation of Matariki in the new year and some of the traditions are to farewell our dead. When we farewell our dead, we have many different poroporoaki. We could either farewell them to Matariki or to Puanga, Rigel. And we would say, haere atura e koro o e kui, haere atura ki te paipairo a Matariki me Rehua. Rehua sits down in the fishhook of Maui. Matariki sits up at the other end.
Te matawa Maui ki te tiki tiki o ngā rangi e.
In the old world of Maori, and even when we came to Aotearoa, there was still the classing system of your ariki. So you would have your ariki, your tohunga, then your rangatira, and then you would have your noa or your tutua, and down to your ponunga, and those were your servants. In this classing system, the higher knowledge was to the ariki and the tohunga. The working everyday knowledge, or the facilitatory knowledge, that which facilitated the society, was to the rangatira, ranga being a platform, tira being a group. In other words, to facilitate a grouping of people. So rangatira were like facilitators of people. Ariki were sitting above that and were looking at a bigger picture of either advancement of the knowledge of the tribe and the relationships of that tribe to another tribe. Rangatira were running the main grouping of the tribe, but they also had to converse with the ariki because they were usually the paramount. Back in Tahiti, Raiatea, Hawaii, Rarotonga, Nukuhiva, and a number of our other Polynesian locations, these ancestors, and particularly the ariki, class, and the high chief class, the tohunga class, were taught about the stars above and what those stars were in relation to islands below. So the latitudinal stars belonging to, or the zenith stars belonging to islands. And this is how they were able to locate islands and place them accurately out upon, I suppose, a map that would point when we were sitting on the sea to a certain location because of where the sun was and because maybe where the moon was or the way in which the tide was moving. Kia rite anō ki tō te rangi. It is like that which has been placed up in the greater heavens. If we look at the universe and the creation of the universe, the same again goes with the creation of our galaxy. That if the centre had expanded outwards, then that is where everything will eventually go back to. For it is a beating heart, or a multiple Big Bang theory in a Maori way of understanding the universe. So not in a X equals Y way that our ancestors knew, but in a more sort of simpler, clear form, they understood the processes of nature, and the scientific observation was seen in a much more, I suppose, holistic way. But today, we can now look at their knowledge and go, hey, actually what they were saying was actually quite right. Trees are breastfed from the sun. This here does face back towards the centre of the galaxy. And if we're going back to Hawaii, wouldn't that be it too? Yeah. So there are interesting crossover points where our knowledge has also been reinterpreted for us, that we are spiritual people and our spirituality has been reinterpreted for us. We need to redefine who we are spiritually, but also who we are scientifically. So our ancestors were scientists, and their spiritual understanding was not their spiritual understanding, it was their understanding of the spirit, of the wairua. And the wairua, the word wairua, doesn't mean spirit. It means waiorua, the waters of your mother, the waters of your father. And that is quite simply that which you inherit genetically from your mother's line and your father's line. But not just genetics. It is that other X factor, it is those things that are almost unseen. But in a science way, it's your hydrogen and your oxygen, the life force that you get from mum and dad.